Quake Talk this morning is by a 1987 grad, Ruth Watakila. She is a real estate broker here in Greensboro, and her father was the first African-American student at Guilford College. She is also a proud mom of a daughter whose birthday is today, which is why her talk is first on the schedule. So please welcome Ruth to the stage. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's been years since I've been back, since I've been here, and I am glad to be back. I hate to say, well, I have been back on campus, but never been back to participate in anything that was going on. So I'm glad I'm finally here, and I hope it's the first of many other comings back to the community. I felt I needed to talk today, or when I was asked to talk, I was compelled to do that because I graduated in 1987. My father went to Guilford College, and I came to Guilford College and felt a great, tremendous amount of support from this community. So there's a part of me that feels kind of sad that I haven't been back to give back and do more in this community, and I'm looking at this as the starting point. So that said, one of the reasons I came back was because I graduated from here as a liberal arts student, and upon graduation felt a lot of the turmoil about what I was going to do with this liberal arts education. I majored in economics and sociology and just did not know how to go into the world and fit in. And so, being challenged with that, I met a friend that talked me into going to work as a customer service rep after getting a degree, and that was in 1987. I thought I'd be going in at a management level position. And so I feel the stress of the young graduates today after getting your education and wanting to start high up there. So I went in and started in a customer service position, and while doing that, I began to realize that the fact that I had been to Guilford College and had taken so many different classes, I was so prepared to get into this so-called work world. I had a very, I believe, successful career thanks to Guilford College. I started out after a year in customer service. I moved into the training and quality assurance department with no background in training and quality assurance, but I knew how to manage the different things. And as I look at my daughter today, who's turning 9, I think as she goes to school and the teachers keep telling me that they're teaching them how to be critical thinkers because they get everything online, everything is available to them. I relate that back, I think, to a liberal arts education. You do so much that you're able to maneuver so many different arenas without really realizing that you're equipping yourself to do that. So after training in quality assurance, I was able to move into an operations management level. Again, a liberal arts graduate with economics and sociology. And after getting to the operations management level, there was an added pressure that I felt as an African-American woman moving up in the corporate world. And in a lot of areas I felt alone. In a lot of areas I felt like I carried the world on my shoulders, the responsibility to coach and develop other young African-American women or African-American young people that were coming into the workforce wherever I worked, just to help them understand the opportunities that were there, to help them navigate the systems that were in place, but also to help them understand that as you get into the work world, it was extremely critical. And I felt, and that some of that pressure may have been self-imposed. However, I felt that I had to be very careful in how I advocated for myself so that I was not perceived as using issues as an excuse, but my issues were valid. And for a lot of people that was not the case. You had an issue and you discussed it. But for me, I felt like I really had to evaluate that issue prior to bringing it to the forefront and having the discussion. So I felt myself pulled into, again, that coaching role for other young African American students that came into the workforce. And I think because I did a lot of that coaching and mentoring in the workplace, I developed additional leadership skills. Unknowingly, obviously along the way I took a lot of classes, leadership training classes, but coming from a liberal arts college again, I found myself moving into a director role for a major organization. I worked as a director with First Data Corporation, again running a call center here in Greensboro that had about 700, I was responsible for 700 people. And I stepped back and just thought, wow. I majored in economics and sociology from a liberal arts college. And here I am. How did I get here? But again, as I've had time to look back, think about it, it's because I was equipped with this liberal arts education and I was able to maneuver the different departments and I think growing up at Guilford College, we always talked about things, you know, being Quakers where you talk until you agree on stuff. It's frustrating, but it's so helpful once you get out there and you realize that you have to talk and negotiate and listen. So those were skills that I started here and helped me obviously move on. After my director role with First Data Corporation, I've lived in Greensboro, moved to Phoenix, Arizona, worked there for First Data Corporation as well, moved back to Greensboro, worked with American Express, worked there for about 4 years, then moved back to, was recruited back to First Data Corporation where I worked as a VP of call center operations. Worked with them for quite a few years, and then I was recruited to work for First Data at a site in the United Kingdom where I was running the site in the UK and managing a site in Florida. So I was in the UK for 2 weeks and I would fly back to Florida for 2 weeks. And then I would fly back to the UK for 2 weeks. And I did, and during this wonderful, crazy time, I became pregnant. After a time I felt, you know, I was done. I was never going to have children. Got pregnant. And did that, continued to travel, that crazy schedule until I was 8 months pregnant, and my doctor looked at me and said, "You are crazy. You are not getting on another flight." So after that, I decided to obviously work from home. The organization was great enough, and at this point, I was actually the VP for project management for First Data. I worked from home, responsible for project directors at multiple locations in the United States, traveled a lot, and I initially traveled with my daughter when she was an infant, of course, and then she turned 2, and I woke up one day and I was in a hotel room with someone that was helping me take care of my child, and my daughter was crawling on the carpet, and I thought to myself, what are you doing? And I'm sure those are challenges that all mothers go through. You get to a point where you're trying to balance your job, you're trying to balance your family, and it becomes a very difficult choice. It's never easy, regardless of whether you become a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a working mom, and the stay-at-home mom is really a work-at-home mom, not a stay-at-home mom. I learned that the hard way. So at that point, the company, when I was going through those emotional battles, the company decided to do a reorganization, and I raised my hand and said, if you're looking for someone, I'm right here. And I decided I stayed home for 5 years with my daughter. Time that I could never give that up for anything. I watched her grow up. She is now a very confident 9-year-old going to school and telling me I cannot tell her what her teachers taught her because her teachers know everything. And during those 9 years, during those 5 years when I stayed at home with her, I realized I had been a VP of major organizations, managed a budget that was millions of dollars, but I had never felt the stress I felt and the anxiety I felt raising my daughter. It was the hardest job, still is the hardest job I have ever done to this day. And I've always thought people use the word stay-at-home mom. No. It is work-at-home mom. So I enjoyed doing that, and as she got into school and is now in 4th grade, don't want to acknowledge that, but she's in 4th grade, I decided this is my 2nd year, I decided I needed to go back and do something. But I went back and decided to become a real estate broker. And that's what I do now. I work with Berkshire Hathaway, Yorston Little in Greensboro. And I enjoy the flexibility that gives me to work, but I'm also able to be there with my daughter. There are occasions, obviously, when clients dictate when I'm with them, but for the most part, I'm able to arrange my schedule around what she's doing. And I share all this, my life story and where I came from and where I am today, because I believe that I got that foundation at Guilford College, the ability to move through any kind of situation. And I was able to get, obviously, the strength. I've developed the strength as an African American woman who now can do what I want to do. And I'm able to talk and touch those young people in my life and be able to share my experiences with them and say, it doesn't matter whether you're an African American woman, whether you're whatever you may be. If you take what you have received as a foundation and use it, you can accomplish a lot. So I thank Guilford College. I thank the support that I received and the support from the community, the foundation that I got from my dad, who was one of the first African American students to graduate from Guilford College. I thank all those people in this community for helping me be who I am today and be able to impart that to my daughter. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.